Dr. Victoria Hammond stood frozen before her quantum observatory's main display, her coffee cup forgotten in her trembling hand. The stars were disappearing, not all at once, but in patches, as if someone was methodically erasing sections of the night sky. As director of the Global Astronomical Research Institute, she had witnessed countless celestial phenomena, but nothing like this. "Dr. Hammond, you need to see this," called out Dr. Marcus Way, her chief research assistant, his voice tight with tension. "The gravitational readings are off the charts." Before Victoria could respond, every monitor in the facility flickered and died. Emergency lights cast an eerie red glow across the observatory's dome. Outside, the night seemed darker than usual, unnaturally so. The distant city lights of Tokyo had vanished. "It's not just us," Marcus announced, checking his phone. "Reports coming in from observatories worldwide. Communications are failing globally. Cell networks, satellites, everything." Victoria's mind raced through possibilities, each more terrifying than the last. As an astrophysicist who specialized in quantum mechanics, she understood enough to know that this was no natural phenomenon. Something or someone was deliberately manipulating spacetime around Earth. The first ship appeared at dawn, a massive obsidian structure that defied geometry hovering over New York City. Within hours, 6 more materialized over major cities: Beijing, London, Mumbai, Sao Paulo, Cairo, and Sydney. Each vessel was the size of a small city, their surfaces seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. In the chaos that followed, Victoria found herself summoned to an emergency meeting at the United Nations bunker facility beneath Geneva. She sat at a round table with military leaders, scientists, and government officials from around the world, all faces marked by the same mix of fear and determination. General Richard Blackwood, Supreme Commander of NATO forces, stood before them, his weathered face grim. "Ladies and gentlemen, conventional military response has proven useless. Every aircraft we've sent within a kilometer of these vessels simply vanishes. Nuclear deterrence is off the table. Our missiles disappear before reaching their targets." "It's not destruction," Victoria interjected, pulling up her data on the main screen. "Those ships aren't destroying our weapons or aircraft. They're removing them from our space-time continuum entirely. The technology required for such manipulation is beyond anything we could have imagined." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. These weren't just advanced aliens. They were beings who could rewrite the fundamental laws of physics at will. Then the harvesting began. Reports flooded in from cities worldwide. People falling into comatose states, their bodies alive but their minds empty. Hospitals filled with thousands of victims, all showing the same symptoms: normal vital signs but complete absence of higher brain function. Working from her makeshift lab in the bunker, Victoria made a breakthrough that chilled her to her core. "They're not killing people," she explained to General Blackwood, pointing to her quantum readings. "They're extracting and storing human consciousness itself. These beings are consciousness harvesters, collecting minds like we collect data." "How is that even possible?" the general demanded. "The same way quantum computers store information in quantum states," Victoria replied. "But on a scale we've barely theorized. They're converting human consciousness into quantum data, presumably to transport it back to wherever they came from." As she spoke, the numbers on her screen spiked dramatically. "The harvest is accelerating. At this rate, we'll lose half of Earth's population within a week." But Victoria had noticed something else in her data, something that gave her hope. The harvesting process wasn't perfect. Some human minds were resisting the extraction, creating interference patterns in the quantum field. A few even showed signs of partial consciousness retention. "Our minds aren't passive energy patterns," she realized. "Human consciousness is chaotic, emotional, unpredictable. It's not conforming to their storage protocols." Working through sleepless nights, Victoria developed a theory that would either save humanity or doom it completely. If they could amplify that natural resistance, using Earth's quantum research facilities to generate a coordinated interference pattern. "We can't beat them with weapons," she told the Emergency Council. But we might be able to turn their own technology against them, create a quantum feedback loop that disrupts their harvest and potentially even reverses it. The plan was desperate, perhaps even suicidal. But as Victoria looked around the room at the faces of Earth's last defenders, she saw no other choice. Humanity would not go quietly into the Harvester's quantum storage banks. They would fight back in a way the aliens had never encountered before, with the chaotic, resilient, indomitable nature of human consciousness itself. The next 48 hours would determine whether humanity retained its freedom or became mere data in an alien collection. Victoria Hammond, the woman who had spent her life studying the stars, now found herself leading the charge to save the very essence of what made us human. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility unknown to all but the highest levels of government, Dr. Thomas Reeves stood before a quantum processor unlike any other in the world. The machine, codenamed Phoenix, pulsed with an eerie blue light, its superconducting circuits maintaining perfect quantum coherence at temperatures approaching absolute zero. "The quantum entanglement readings are stable," announced Dr. Elena Rodriguez, his research partner and the team's leading quantum engineer. Her fingers danced across holographic displays, adjusting parameters with practiced precision. "But we're still seeing anomalies in the consciousness transfer simulations." Thomas ran his hands through his graying hair, studying the results of their latest test. For 15 years, he had led the government's classified research into quantum consciousness work that had seemed purely theoretical until 7 days ago. Now, with alien harvesters stealing human minds across the globe, his research had become humanity's last hope. "Dr. Hammond's data from Geneva confirms our theory," Elena said, pulling up the latest transmission. "The aliens are using quantum fields to extract and store human consciousness, but their process isn't perfect. They're encountering resistance." "Because they don't understand what they're dealing with," Thomas replied, a hint of pride in his voice. "Human consciousness isn't just information, it's a dynamic, evolving quantum state. Every mind is unique, shaped by experiences, emotions, free will. They're trying to standardize something that defies standardization." The facility's heavy blast doors slid open with a hydraulic hiss. General Diana Pierce strode in, her uniform immaculate despite the chaos of the past week. As head of the newly formed Global Defense Initiative, she carried the weight of humanity's survival on her shoulders. "Please tell me you have something," she said, dispensing with formalities. "We've lost contact with Mumbai. The entire city, 20 million minds, harvested in less than 6 hours." Thomas nodded grimly. "We've made a breakthrough. Elena, show her." Elena brought up a three-dimensional model of interacting quantum fields. "We've mapped the harvester's extraction frequency. They're using quantum entanglement on a massive scale, creating a network that spans their ships. But here's the key. They have to maintain quantum coherence across the entire network. One disruption could cascade through their entire system," Thomas finished. "We can use Phoenix to generate an opposing quantum field tuned to human consciousness frequencies, not just blocking their harvest but potentially revering it." General Pierce studied the simulation with intense focus. "What do you need?" "Access to every quantum research facility on Earth," Thomas replied. "We need to create a global network of quantum generators, all perfectly synchronized. One mistake, one misaligned field could alert the harvesters to what we're attempting," Elena added. "Or worse, cause permanent damage to the stored human consciousness they've already collected." The general's expression hardened. "How long?" 72 hours to modify the facilities. Another 24 to synchronize the network. After that," Thomas met her gaze, "we'll have one chance. The energy requirements will burn out most of our quantum processors if it fails." "If it fails, we lose everything anyway," Pierce finished. She pulled out a secure tablet, already sending orders. "I'll have military transport ready in 30 minutes. We're evacuating this facility to Geneva. You'll coordinate with Dr. Hammond's team there." As they packed essential equipment, Elena approached Thomas privately. "There's something I haven't told the general," she said, her voice low. "The simulations, they show consciousness bleed through if we succeed in revering the harvest." The returned minds might bring something back with them, Thomas nodded. Fragments of alien knowledge, technology, perhaps even consciousness. We'd be looking at the biggest leap in human evolution since the development of language. Or the biggest disaster in human history, Elena countered. We're talking about millions of human minds touched by alien intelligence. The psychological impact alone. We don't have a choice, Thomas said firmly. Either we take that risk, or humanity becomes nothing more than data in their cosmic library. As military helicopters approached the facility, Thomas took a final look at Project Phoenix. The quantum processor hummed softly, its blue light pulsing like a heartbeat. In its crystalline matrices lay the culmination of his life's work, and perhaps the salvation of the human race. The next phase would be critical. They would need to coordinate with quantum research facilities across the globe, each one requiring precise calibration to create the intended cascade effect. The slightest misalignment could doom the entire project. But as Thomas watched Elena efficiently directing the equipment evacuation, he felt a surge of determination. The harvesters had made a crucial mistake. They had judged humanity by its technological development, never considering that consciousness itself might be our greatest weapon. In Geneva, they would join forces with Dr. Hammond's team, combining their research to create something unprecedented, a global quantum defense network powered by the very essence of human consciousness. The harvesters thought they were collecting data. Instead, they might just unleash a force they never anticipated, humanity's unified will to survive. The race against time had begun. In labs and bunkers across the world, humanity's brightest minds worked frantically to implement Project Phoenix. They had 4 days to either save the human race or watch it vanish into the harvester's quantum storage banks. The choice between evolution and extinction would be decided not by weapons or armies, but by the fundamental nature of human consciousness itself. The underground facility in Geneva hummed with nervous energy as the final preparations for Project Phoenix entered their last phase. Dr. Victoria Hammond and Dr. Thomas Reeves worked side by side, their teams merging seamlessly in humanity's most ambitious scientific endeavor. Quantum synchronization at 97% across all facilities, Elena Rodriguez announced, her voice steady despite the tension. On the global display, green dots marked active quantum generators spanning every continent. Mumbai and Cairo stations coming online now. General Pierce paced behind them, coordinating with military commands worldwide. All population centers within range of harvester ships have been evacuated. We're as ready as we'll ever be. Victoria studied the quantum field projections one final time. In the week since the harvesters' arrival, they had stolen nearly 50 million human minds. Each passing hour meant thousands more lost to their insatiable collection. The harvester ships are changing position, Marcus Way called out from his monitoring station. They're moving to equidistant points around the planet, some kind of final phase. They're preparing for a synchronized harvest, Thomas realized. If we're going to act, it has to be now. Victoria took a deep breath, looking at the faces around her, scientists, soldiers, technicians, all united in this last desperate gambit. Begin final power-up sequence. All stations prepare for quantum cascade initialization. Around the world, modified quantum research facilities drew massive amounts of power, their processors pushing the boundaries of known physics. The plan was audacious. Create a planet-wide quantum field tuned to the specific frequency of human consciousness, then use it to disrupt and reverse the harvester's extraction technology. Energy levels approaching critical threshold, Elena reported. Quantum coherence holding steady, we're ready. Victoria looked to General Pierce, who nodded grimly. All stations, initiate quantum cascade on my mark. 3, 2, 1, execute. The effect was immediate and far more dramatic than anyone had anticipated. The air itself seemed to ripple, as if reality was a pond into which someone had thrown a stone. The massive harvester ships, which had remained eerily motionless for days, suddenly flickered like faulty holograms. Then came the screams, not physical sounds, but psychic waves that bypassed normal sensation and struck directly at the consciousness. Millions of human minds, trapped in quantum storage, crying out at once. "Quantum field stability at 82% and holding," Thomas shouted over the psychic cacophony. "The cascade is working. We're getting consciousness reflux patterns." Around the world, the comatose victims of the harvest began to stir. But something was different. As their minds returned, they brought something with them, something alien and profound. "The quantum link? It's two-way," Victoria gasped, her own consciousness expanding with sudden understanding. Through the global quantum field, she could feel the harvester's true nature. They weren't just aliens, they were ancient beings who had transcended physical form eons ago, existing as pure consciousness within the quantum fabric of space-time. "They're afraid," Alina whispered, her eyes wide with the same revelation. "They've never encountered resistance like this, never faced consciousness that could fight back." The harvester ships were changing, their perfect geometric forms developing fractures that leaked brilliant quantum energy. But the real battle was taking place on a level human senses couldn't perceive, a war of consciousness itself. The returned human minds brought with them fragments of the harvester's vast knowledge. Each recovered consciousness carried pieces of understanding that no human was meant to possess. The secrets of quantum manipulation, consciousness transfer, even the fundamental structure of reality itself. "Something's happening to the quantum field," Thomas warned. "The energy patterns, they're evolving." The global quantum network they had created was no longer just a weapon. It had become a bridge between human and harvester consciousness. Through this bridge flowed not just the stolen minds, but a flood of knowledge and capability that would forever change what it meant to be human. "My God," Victoria breathed, watching the data streams. "We're not just getting our people back, we're inheriting their technology, their understanding. The harvesters wanted to collect human consciousness. Instead, they've triggered our evolution." The harvester ships began to fade from reality, not with a dramatic explosion, but with a gradual dissolution, like fog under a rising sun. Their retreat wasn't just a physical withdrawal. It was an acknowledgement of something unprecedented in their ancient history: failure. As the ships vanished, they left behind more than just returned human consciousness. The quantum bridge had transferred vast amounts of their knowledge into human minds. The very attempt to harvest humanity had instead seeded Earth with the means to join the cosmic community of consciousness. In the aftermath, Victoria and her team worked frantically to understand what had happened. The returned humans were changed, carrying within their minds fragments of knowledge that would advance Earth's technology by centuries. But more importantly, humanity had proven itself something unique in the galaxy, a species whose consciousness could not be harvested, whose minds fought back against even the most advanced beings in known space. "They'll be back," General Pierce said quietly, watching the last harvester ship fade from existence. "Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not for years, but they'll return." "And we'll be ready," Victoria replied, her mind already expanding with new understanding. "They wanted to make us part of their collection. Instead, they've made us their equals." The counterstrike had succeeded beyond their wildest hopes, but it was only the beginning. Humanity stood on the brink of a transformation that would reshape not just their civilization, but their very consciousness. The age of ordinary human existence was over. The era of quantum humanity had begun. 3 months after the harvester's retreat, the world had changed in ways no one could have predicted. In a secured research complex outside Geneva, Dr. Thomas Reeves observed a demonstration that would have seemed impossible before the invasion. A young woman, one of the returned, stood in the center of a testing chamber. With merely a thought, she manipulated quantum fields visible only to her enhanced consciousness, creating complex patterns in the fabric of reality itself. Around her, sophisticated sensors recorded everything, adding to the growing database of post-harvest capabilities. "Remarkable," Elena Rodriguez murmured, studying the readings. "She's accessing quantum states as naturally as we access our physical senses, and she's not alone. We're seeing similar developments worldwide." The returned, as they came to be known, numbered in the millions. Each carried fragments of harvester knowledge within their transformed consciousness. Some could perceive quantum mechanics directly. Others demonstrated the ability to process information at incredible speeds or communicate across vast distances through quantum entanglement. In her office overlooking Lake Geneva, General Diana Pierce reviewed the latest global security reports. The challenges of managing this evolutionary leap were proving as complex as the initial crisis. Another incident in Singapore, she told Victoria Hammond, who had just arrived for their daily briefing. A returned software engineer accidentally accessed and shut down half the city's power grid with his mind. We contained the situation, but these events are becoming more frequent. Victoria nodded grimly. The knowledge they brought back, it's not just technological data. It's changing how their brains function, how they perceive and interact with reality itself. We need to adapt our entire society to accommodate these new capabilities. And quickly, Thomas added, joining them. Our analysis suggests this is just the beginning. The quantum bridge we created didn't just transfer knowledge, it initiated an ongoing evolution of human consciousness. More people are developing abilities every day, even some who weren't directly harvested. The implications were staggering. Humanity stood at an evolutionary crossroads, transformed by the very beings who had tried to consume them. But with this transformation came unprecedented challenges. In cities worldwide, special facilities were being established to help the returned understand and control their new abilities. The Global Defense Initiative, originally formed to fight the harvesters, had evolved into an organization dedicated to managing humanity's transition into a quantum-aware species. We've identified several distinct categories of enhancement, Elena explained, bringing up a holographic display. Quantum perception, consciousness projection, field manipulation, each group seems to have received different aspects of harvester knowledge, but they're all connected through what we're calling the quantum consciousness network. This network, an unexpected legacy of Project Phoenix, linked all enhanced humans through quantum entanglement. It wasn't quite telepathy, but rather a deep awareness of each other's quantum states, allowing for unprecedented levels of cooperation and understanding. But not everyone welcomed these changes. Reports of discrimination against the returned were increasing. Some feared their powers, while others envied them. Religious groups debated whether the transformation represented divine intervention or cosmic corruption. We're sitting on a powder keg, General Pierce warned. Half of humanity is evolving into something new, while the other half watches and worries. We need to find a way to bridge this gap before it tears society apart. The solution came from an unexpected source. Dr. Marcus Way, working with returned researchers, made a breakthrough in consciousness integration technology. Using modified versions of the quantum processors from Project Phoenix, they found a way to safely expose unaffected humans to the quantum consciousness network. It's not the same as being returned, Marcus explained to the council, but it allows normal humans to perceive and interact with quantum reality at a basic level. More importantly, it helps them understand what the returned are experiencing. Fear comes from ignorance. This could be our bridge to acceptance. The initiative, dubbed Project Unity, began rolling out globally. Special education centers were established, combining quantum consciousness training with traditional education. Slowly, the gap between returned and unaffected humans began to narrow. Yet even as humanity grappled with its internal transformation, the greater challenge loomed. The harvesters had retreated, but they weren't the only advanced consciousness-based species in the galaxy. The knowledge brought back by the returned pointed to a vast community of evolved beings, some friendly, others potentially hostile. We need to prepare, Victoria insisted during a high-level strategy session. The harvesters' failure here will attract attention. Other species will want to know how we resisted, why we're different. Some may seek alliance, others might see us as a threat. Thomas agreed, adding, the returned are already beginning to understand faster-than-light travel, quantum communication across interstellar distances, even the possibility of consciousness transfer between stars. We're on the verge of joining a galactic community whether we're ready or not. As if to emphasize his point, a returned child in Tokyo had recently drawn detailed schematics for a quantum drive system, knowledge accidentally downloaded during the harvest reversal. Similar incidents were occurring worldwide as the stored information gradually surfaced in unexpected ways. Humanity stood at the threshold of a new age. The harvest had failed, but it had seeded Earth with the knowledge and capabilities needed to take its first steps into a larger universe. The question was no longer whether humanity would join the cosmic community, but how they would manage their own evolution along the way. In her private moments, Victoria sometimes wondered if this had been the Harvester's true purpose all along, not to collect consciousness, but to catalyze its evolution across the galaxy. Whether by accident or design, they had transformed humanity into something new, a species that could bridge the physical and quantum realms, combining human creativity and resilience with advanced cosmic understanding. The next phase of human history was beginning, and no one could predict where it would lead. 1 year after the Harvester invasion, Earth had transformed beyond recognition. The gleaming spire of humanity's first quantum spaceport rose from the Australian outback, its crystalline structure pulsing with otherworldly energy. Dr. Victoria Hammond stood at its base, watching as the first human-built quantum ship prepared for its maiden voyage. "Hard to believe we did all this in just a year," Elena Rodriguez remarked, joining her. The ship above them, dubbed Phoenix Ascendant, represented the culmination of returned knowledge and human innovation, a perfect fusion of quantum technology and human ingenuity. "The Harvesters gave us the knowledge," Victoria replied, "but it was human creativity that turned it into something new." She gestured to the ship's unique design, incorporating elements never seen in Harvester technology. They never imagined consciousness could be used this way. Inside the control center, Dr. Thomas Reeves and General Pierce monitored the launch preparations. The ship's crew, a mixture of returned and quantum-trained humans, conducted final systems checks through direct consciousness interface. "Quantum field stability at 100%, reported Captain Rachel Chen, the ship's commander, her mind linked directly to the vessel's systems. "All consciousness buffers synchronized. We're ready for our first fold space jump." The mission was both a test and a statement, humanity's first intentional contact with the galactic community. The return had brought back knowledge of quantum communication networks spanning the galaxy, used by consciousness-based species to share information and resources. "Signal from the quantum network detected," Marcus Way announced from his station. "Multiple species are watching. They know we're coming." General Pierce nodded grimly. "Let them watch. It's time they learned who we really are." The Phoenix Ascendant rose silently into the dawn sky, its quantum drives bending reality around it. As it reached the edge of Earth's atmosphere, Captain Chen initiated the fold space sequence. The ship shimmered, its form blurring as it prepared to traverse the quantum realm. In that moment, something unprecedented occurred. The global quantum consciousness network, linking millions of returned and enhanced humans, surged with collective purpose. Every enhanced mind on Earth reached out, adding their consciousness to the ship's quantum field, strengthening it beyond anything the Harvesters had ever achieved. The ship didn't just jump through space. It carved a permanent pathway through the quantum realm, a stable corridor that other ships could follow. Humanity had just created its first permanent, faster-than-light route, something even the Harvesters had never managed. "Impossible," breathed Elena, staring at the readings. "The collective consciousness network. It's not just supporting the ship, it's reshaping quantum space itself." The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just learned to use Harvester technology, they had surpassed it. The unique nature of human consciousness, its creativity and adaptability, had allowed them to innovate beyond the rigid patterns of their would-be collectors. Reports began flowing in from quantum observers across the galaxy. Other species, watching humanity's emergence with intense interest, registered shock at this display of unprecedented capability. The Harvester's failed collection had become a catalyst for something entirely new in the cosmos. In orbit above a distant star system, the Phoenix Ascendant emerged from quantum space. Captain Chen's voice came through clearly despite the vast distance, transmitted through the quantum network. First jump successful. We're receiving multiple contact requests from local species. They're welcoming us. Victoria smiled, remembering her first glimpse of Harvester knowledge during the invasion. They're curious about us. We're something new, a species that evolved not through eons of gradual development, but through a quantum leap of consciousness. The next few months saw rapid developments. More ships were constructed, each incorporating new innovations born from the fusion of Harvester knowledge and human creativity. Earth established its first extraterrestrial colonies, using quantum technology to make distant worlds habitable almost instantly. But perhaps most significantly, humanity began receiving information about their place in the larger galaxy. The Harvesters, it seemed, were just one of many ancient species who had transcended physical form. Some collected consciousness for study, others for preservation. But none had encountered a species quite like humanity before. "We're unique," Thomas explained during a global council meeting. "Most species either reject quantum evolution entirely or abandon their physical form completely. We're the first to successfully merge both states, to remain human while expanding our consciousness into quantum reality." This unique nature made Earth both fascinating and potentially threatening to the established cosmic order. Some species sought alliance, eager to learn from humanity's unprecedented development. Others watched warily, concerned about the implications of such rapid evolution. The Harvesters themselves had retreated to the far edges of known space, their failure on Earth sending shockwaves through their ancient civilization. For the first time in millions of years, they faced questions about their purpose and methods. 1 year after their first quantum ship launch, humanity had established itself as a rising power in the galaxy. Earth's quantum spaceports now hosted representatives from dozens of species, all eager to interact with this remarkable new civilization. In her office overlooking the Geneva Quantum Research Center, Victoria reviewed reports from Earth's growing network of colonies and diplomatic missions. The returned continued to develop new abilities, while the Consciousness Integration Program helped the rest of humanity keep pace with their species' evolution. "We've received another contact request," Elena announced, entering with fresh data. "A coalition of consciousness-based species. They're proposing a galactic council seat for Earth." Victoria smiled, remembering the terror of those first days when the Harvesters appeared. "They came to collect us," she mused, "but instead they set us free. The galaxy wanted to add us to its library of consciousness. Instead, we're helping write its next chapter." As night fell over Earth, millions of enhanced minds joined in the quantum consciousness network, their collective awareness reaching out to the stars. Humanity had not just survived its first contact with advanced alien life. It had emerged transformed, united, and ready to take its place among the cosmos. The age of ordinary human existence was over. The era of quantum humanity had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.